One, welcome to the Dog Call. I'm your host, Armondo Black. Hope everyone enjoyed their Veterans Day weekend. To all of my fellow brothers and sisters out there that served in the military, salute to all of you. Happy Veterans Day to each and every one of you. I apologize. Normally, I would do this on a Monday, but when it comes to Veterans Day, I just wanted to enjoy my Veterans Day holiday with my family yesterday. But I'm here. Here it is, Tuesday. And later on this evening, they're going to unveil the college football rankings for week 12. But today, this evening, I'm going to unveil my top 5 SEC teams, my top 5 rankings for week 12. So get your popcorn ready. This is the Dog Call. Welcome to the Dog Call. I'm your host, Armondo Black. And today we're going to be discussing the top 5 rankings for week 12. Now let's do a recap of week 11. Week 11, Georgia was at the top of the SEC. And as we all know, Georgia took a beat down from Ole Miss. And I'm going to get into that a little later on. And that same day, later that night, Bama rolled in the Death Valley and destroyed LSU, pretty much eliminated them from any talks of the playoffs. They have 3 losses. Now, there is one slight pathway for LSU. And that is why I will not be giving them their walking papers today. Today, I will not be doing the slow walking, sad sinking for LSU, because they do have one little slight pathway to the playoffs. And I'm going to explain that a little later on here. But these rankings have changed drastically. They have changed drastically. Some of you may not like the way I got the rankings this week, but it is what it is. This is from my eye test, and I'm also going by the records. Records matter. So without further ado, my top 5 rankings. My top 5 rankings for week 12. And as you can see here, for the first time ever, and I do mean for the first time ever, my Georgia Bulldogs are not on this list. They are not. They are completely not on this list. And let me explain to you all why my Georgia Bulldogs are not on this list. Um, the way they've lost two, and I'm just going to be honest with you, they don't look like a top 5 team right now. So I'm going to go ahead and go through the rankings. As you can see right there at number 5, the Alabama Crimson Tide, with their impressive win over LSU. They eliminated LSU. Bama looked like they were dead in the water there for a minute after they lost to Tennessee. A lot of people, including myself, had written them off. But this Bama team definitely is still in the mix. Pretty much all they need to do is just win out. Now, there is a scenario where Bama can be tripped up or prevented from going to the playoffs if they are hit with a third loss, and that third loss comes in Atlanta. Because it looks like if everything remains the way it is, Bama would. Let me just give you a scenario. If Georgia beats Tennessee, Bama would go on and play in Atlanta in the SEC championship game against the winner of Texas and Texas A&M. That's the way it's looking. Now, if Bama was to catch that third loss, which can definitely happen, if Bama catches that third loss against against Texas in Atlanta, then it's a wrap. It is a wrap. It's a wrap. Now, the best case scenario, if I'm a Bama fan, I'm actually hoping that Tennessee can take care of Georgia and then go ahead in a couple of weeks, Thanksgiving weekend, and take care of Vanderbilt. You really don't want to be going to Atlanta with 2 losses and have the possibility to hit with a third loss, and then you miss out on the playoffs. I know the committee member came out Sunday morning and said that teams were not going to be penalized for losing the conference championship game. That's a lie. That's a lie. Because if let's just say hindsight, if Colorado and BYU meet up, and it looks like that's going to be the scenario, they meet up in the Big 12 championship game, and Colorado upsets BYU, Colorado will win the Big 12. BYU will not get in. They would not get in as a one-loss team because of their strength of schedule. It's just, that's not going to happen. The same thing with Miami in the ACC or SMU. The loser of that game is not getting in. The loser of that. So the notion that if you make it to your conference championship game, that's an automatic bid, automatic placement in the playoffs. That's not true. That committee member is lying. So I would not. The only team that could actually afford to go to Atlanta and lose and still be in the playoffs or still have a good playoff seeding would be Texas right about now. And Tennessee, if Tennessee can beat Georgia. But Texas is pretty much sitting pretty right now. They take care of business in Kyle Field on November 30th. Then they'll definitely be in Atlanta playing for the SEC crown. Now at number 4, in my opinion, this is the most dangerous team in the SEC right now, the Ole Miss Rebels, because they did something that I'm going to be straight up and honest with you. They did something that no team has done to my Georgia Bulldogs since you got to go back to 2020, and that means beating my Georgia Bulldogs when we're darn near at full strength. I mean, beating them decisively. No referee questionable calls, no key players out, everybody pretty much darn healthy, without the exception of a few linemen. and a couple of running backs that we've been missing. We went into that game pretty healthy. No lucky miracle play at the end of the game like Bama had. I mean, Ole Miss they beat the dog crap out of us. I'm just being honest with you. Ole Miss put it on my Georgia Bulldogs. So this team right here is the most dangerous team in the nation, in the SEC and in the nation, because their defense can match up against any offense in the nation, and their offense can match you point for point. I think Jackson Dart is a first rounder, no doubt in my mind, a first rounder. Lane Kiffin has a quarterback, not only a quarterback but a leader. That young man is capable of leading this team not only to an SEC championship crown, but also to a national championship. And I will say this: if Ole Miss is that team that goes to Atlanta to meet either Texas or Texas A&M or even Tennessee, I think Ole Miss could beat any team on this list. I'm just going to come on out and say it. That pass rush is better than any pass rush that I've seen since my Georgia Bulldogs 2021 pass rush. Those guys are relentless. They are relentless. Those are some assassins on that D line. And look, Ole Miss, now, Bama, I don't know if I think Bama would get the tiebreaker over Ole Miss because of the LSU factor. Bama beat LSU, Ole Miss lost to LSU. Now, let me explain something to a lot of you. When Ole Miss lost to LSU, you got to remember they had several key players out. And they still almost won the game. So, and they led most of the game. Ole Miss could easily be undefeated right now. They had no business losing to Kentucky. And they had no business losing to LSU. This Ole Miss team, like I'm going to say it now and I say it again. This Ole Miss team, nobody on this list wanna see Ole Miss on a neutral site, in the Grove, or wherever. It don't matter where the game is being played at. No other team on this list want to see Ole Miss right now because they're playing the best football out of any team in the SEC. Let me go to number 3, the Texas A&M Aggies. By record, I'm going to put them at number 3 because they are right now, they only have one loss in the SEC. They won some thrillers this year. They beat LSU. LSU dominated the first half, but Texas A&M came out in the second half and dominated that game. They have a very important game on the 30th with Texas. And Texas A&M has never been to Atlanta. They've never been to an SEC championship game where they have their chance. All they have to do is take care of business on November 30th against Texas, and they will punch their ticket to the playoffs, and they will more than likely be headed to Atlanta. Now the Texas Longhorns. The Texas Longhorns, and let me listen to me real good. For all my fellow Georgia Bulldog fans out there, we want them to keep winning. We want this team to keep winning. You want Texas to continue to win because the better Texas looks, the better Georgia looks, okay? Being that Georgia is the only team that was able to take down Texas and on top of that to go into Austin on a Saturday night on prime time and dominate them. Game wasn't even close. The game wasn't even close. The game really should have been 30-8 if it wasn't for Carson Beck throwing that dumb pick in the early fourth quarter. But hey, it's neither here or there. Georgia was the clear-cut favorite, the better team that night in Austin. And number 1, those Tennessee Volunteers. Right now, what more can you say? Stat-wise, they are the best team right now in the SEC. They have that pass rush is lethal. That pass rush is lethal. That run game is lethal. Dylan Sampson, Nico has had his issues this year, but he's still Nico. And that kid is going to be elite. I said it earlier this season, and I'll say it again. That kid is going to be a future Heisman favorite. I'm not saying he's going to win it before he leaves Tennessee, but I see this kid being in New York next year. That's how much talent this kid has. And if they put some more pieces on that O-line for him and give him some more weapons, oh my goodness, he could probably walk away with the Heisman before he leaves Knoxville. So this is it right here. I'm very, very confident about this list. We could have went either way with the Longhorns and A&M, or we could have went either way with the Longhorns in Tennessee. I'm sorry, being that Texas' only loss is to Georgia, Tennessee's only loss is to Arkansas. Texas has a game with Arkansas. I think it's next week. That is going to be a showdown. That is going to be a showdown. Pretty much Tennessee. It is a huge game. And let's talk about the big game this week. And I'm not going to do my picks on this show, but Tennessee has a game in Athens against Georgia. Now, I will say this. Tennessee only has one loss on the season so far. Tennessee is pretty much playing with house money. And let me explain to you why. Tennessee can lose this game and still have a chance to go to Atlanta and play for the SEC championship game. Tennessee can lose this game, and as long as they beat Vanderbilt, as long as they win the rest of their games, Tennessee could get in the playoffs at 10-2 because of their win over Bama. They will hold the tiebreaker over Bama. So for those of you that are thinking that Tennessee would be done with a loss to Georgia, no, they are still very much in it. Now, with a win, they would definitely can cruise right on into Atlanta, and it will be them playing the winner of Texas A&M and Texas. And can you imagine SEC championship game with Texas versus Tennessee? Wow. That would be something to see right there. Now, as for a couple of teams that are on the outside looking on the inside, of course, LSU was eliminated. They have 3 losses, but there is one little slim pathway that could get LSU to Atlanta. And listen to me real good. If Georgia loses, it would have to be an avalanche of things that happen. Georgia loses. They hold the tiebreaker over Ole Miss. So that's not, that won't be a problem right there. Texas A&M or Texas, that wouldn't stop anything right there. Georgia. Now, how can I put this now? How can I put this? Okay. Tennessee needs to beat Georgia, okay, and eliminate Georgia, get Georgia out of the way. Then Tennessee would need to turn around and lose to Vanderbilt, okay. LSU needs to run the table the rest of the way. Auburn beats Texas A&M and Bama. LSU needs to become Auburn fans. Right now, from this point on, if you're an LSU fan, you need to be screaming War Eagle, Go Tigers and War Eagles, because not only are you cheering for your LSU Tigers, you also need to be cheering for those Auburn Tigers, because on the 23rd, it is imperative that Auburn beats Texas A&M, which could happen. The game is going to be in Jordan-Hare. It could happen. And Auburn has a good record against A&M. Auburn has had A&M's number since A&M has joined the SEC. Let me repeat that again now. Since Texas A&M has joined the SEC, for whatever reason, Auburn has had their number. So this could very well happen. Auburn could upset Texas A&M. And another thing you need to happen, you need either Oklahoma or Auburn to beat Bama, which could happen. Look what happened. Bama was riding high after their win against Georgia. Everybody thought they were the greatest thing since sliced bread. Everybody was saying, oh, the Bama's going to win another national title. They were ready to give Jalen Miro the Heisman. Remember that? Remember that? And then what happened on October the 5th? What happened on October the 5th? Bama fans got stunned. And Bama got exposed. Remember, Bama they have some deficiencies in that secondary. It was a rainy night last Saturday night. LSU were down several players, and that type of weather was just not, that LSU offense was not equipped to score on Bama in that kind of weather, even though the game was in Death Valley. LSU is a passing team. Bama is a running team. So the elements favored Bama last Saturday. So on a neutral site, on dry field, I would still say LSU, that would have been a different ball game. Or if LSU would have been full strength, that would have been a different ball game. So not making any excuses for LSU. That was a beatdown. But you know, this is a strange college football season. I wouldn't look too much into that, but they do have a slimmer of a chance of getting to the playoffs if they can ease into Atlanta. Which could easily happen. Now they hold the tiebreak over Ole Miss. Remember, A&M loses to Auburn, and Bama loses to either Oklahoma or Auburn. LSU will be right back in it because LSU will hold the tiebreaker over Georgia. They would hold the tiebreaker over Georgia. Yes, they would hold the tiebreaker over Georgia. So now, Georgia, real simple. Beat Tennessee. Beat Tennessee. Beat Tennessee and you're in, based on the fact that out of all the teams up here, Georgia has the stronger strength of record. The only other team that has a tougher schedule than Georgia in the SEC is Florida. Florida, in my opinion, had the toughest schedule out of any team in the nation, in my opinion. But Georgia would be close second to Florida as far as like toughest schedules. So all Georgia has to do is get past Tennessee, and then you got a ton. Then you're going to beat UMass. You're going to mollywop UMass. Then you got a sneaky, good Georgia Tech team coming into Athens on Black Friday, the Friday after Thanksgiving. Georgia has to take care of business in that game. It is very important, very important. And what makes that game important is that you beat Georgia Tech, you beat Tennessee, and then you beat Georgia Tech. You have a tiebreaker. You hold a tiebreaker over Miami. So if it comes down between a 1-loss Miami and a 2-loss Georgia, that committee is definitely going to put the 2-loss Georgia in over that 1-loss Miami, because Georgia will hold a tiebreaker over the Hurricanes because of common opponent. Miami lost to Georgia Tech, and Georgia will have a victory over that same Georgia Tech team. So it's a lot to sort out here. Still a lot of football left to be played, but for Georgia, it's do or die. You're in the same boat that LSU was in last Saturday, the same boat that Ole Miss was in last. It is your elimination game. You lose Saturday, that is it. You are out. You will have no pathway to Atlanta. I don't see a pathway to Atlanta for Georgia. I think the SEC championship game is out, done. And I don't think too many Georgia fans is really complaining about that. A lot of Georgia fans just want you to get in. Georgia, they desperately need this win. It's do or die. It's do or die. I hear a lot of Georgia fans saying, well, Carson just had a bad game. He just, the old line just had a bad game. Listen, we've been hearing that all season. We've been hearing that all season. The excuses got to stop. Whatever bags of tricks that Bobo has, you got to, this game Saturday night, everything got to be brought out. Everything got to be left on the field. Everything got to be left on the field. If Kirby has, if Carson Beck comes out there throwing 2 interceptions in the first half, you cannot play. You cannot jeopardize the season. You had other kids that chose to come back and play for you. You can't put one player's feelings over these other guys that's been out here busting their ass for you, blood, sweat, and tears. If Carson Beck has had a terrible season, do not let one player cost you a chance at the playoffs. Don't let one player deprive these other players on the roster of a chance of playing for a national championship. You yank him. You pull him. Because it's obvious he is not the same quarterback that he was last year. His confidence is gone. His accuracy, all of that. He is not the guy this year. He is not the guy. Now, if he comes out, he plays in the first half, don't throw in the interceptions, and plays lights out, leave him in there. But if there's any sign that he can't get the job done, or he comes out there throwing 1 or 2 interceptions in the first half, Kirby, it's going to come down to you. You got to make a decision for what's best for the team, not what's best for Carson Beck's feelings. You need to make a decision what's best for the team and pull his ass up out of there. Let him do what he do best, go on the sideline with that silly grin and them big ass teeth of his, and sit his ass over there to the side and bring Gunnar Stockton in or Jaden Rashada and let them come in and see what they can do. All right, because you won't know what a kid can do unless you give him a chance. And why the hell would you bring Jaden Rashada in as a transfer if you're not going to give him an opportunity to see the field? That kid has not seen the field not one time this year. Not one time. And he has game experience. He played in the Pac-12 last year. He started in some games. He has experience. He has more experience than Garner does. And this kid has not seen the field not one time this season. So it is crunch time. You got to play your best players. Play your best players. Those receivers that keeps dropping the ball, that number 84, that transfer from Stanford. I don't know why the hell Mike Bobo keeps putting him out there. He drops more balls than he catches. Carson Beck threw him maybe like 5 or 6 passes. Out of the 6 passes that Carson Beck threw his way, he only caught 1. Oscar Delp is overrated, and I've been saying that for the last 2 years. He's overrated. He is nowhere near the level of Brock Bowers. There's only one Brock Bowers. And Oscar Delp is no Brock Bowers. His hands ability to catch the ball, nowhere near it. Now he has some speed on him. I will give Delp that. He can run. The kid can run. But as far as skills, tight end skills, as far as ball catching ability, as far as hands, he don't have that skills that Brock Bowers had. He doesn't. Lawson Luck, he drops the ball too damn much. He's a great blocker. And it would be a good idea to put him in as an extra blocker Saturday. But as far as like calling passes his way, he does not hold on to he just can't, he don't catch, he don't have good hands. He does not have good hands. All right. London Humphreys, he's fast as hell. Speed, I mean, he can run like hell, but he can't catch worth a damn. That's the only thing. But he drops too many damn balls, and especially when he feels like he's getting ready to get hit by a defender, he will drop the damn ball. There was a pass that was right in between the numbers that he should have had. He actually caught it, but when the Ole Miss player hit him, he dropped the damn ball. He doesn't run good routes. I would not waste my time throwing the ball to players that's not going to catch the damn ball. It makes no sense. It's counterproductive. Don't waste your time throwing the ball to players that's not going to catch the damn ball. Play your best players. Use your best players. Use your best receivers. I will lean a little bit. Arians, out of all the receivers, Arian Smith is the only one who has excelled, who has taken his game to the next level. Everybody else has regressed. Lovett regressed. Dylan Bell, compared to last year, regressed. Dylan Bell is not playing nowhere near on the level this year that he was last year. He's not. He's not. Losing Kobe Young and Ra Thomas hurt this team a lot more than we wanted to accept. We was hoping that between London Humphreys, Arian Smith, Dominique Lovett, Dylan Bell, we was hoping that they would be able to cover the slack. Oscar Delp, and I don't like to pick on a kid or put a kid down, but Oscar Delp has been a total disappointment. Just compared to what a lot of us expected out of him, total disappointment. Totally disappointment. Huge drop off in production between him and Brock Bowers. Huge drop off. And Dominique Lovett just, he had a pretty good season last year, but this year he's taken a step back. ETN, and I said this about him even when he was at Florida, he's more of a scat back. He is not that guy that can get you yards in between the tackles on a consistent basis. He's not a DeAndre Swift. He's not a Sony Michel. Hell, he's not even an Elijah Holyfield. That is why I don't even think he's had 100 yards this year. He hasn't had a 100-yard rushing game this year because he's a scat back. He's a scat back. He's a small back that can get you a couple of yards here and there. That can, you can work him to the edges and the corners. But running in between the tackles, you're not going to get much with him. Nate Frazier will improve in time. He'll bulk up. He's a true freshman. He's a kid. He's still a kid. He was just in high school a year ago. So we can't put too much pressure on him and expect too much out of him. We actually needed ETN to take the lead as the lead running back. Branson Robinson just did not pan out from what we expected, what I thought, the Branson Robinson that we saw in 22. I was hoping to get some of that Branson Robinson in 24, and it just didn't happen. Even when he was healthy, even when he was running the rock, he was only averaging maybe like a yard or two on average. Most of the time, Carson Beck handed the ball off to him. He was getting hit for losses. Broderick Robinson, not having him this year, that hurt Georgia. That really, really hurt Georgia. Now, my question is what happened with Andrew Paul? Where's Andrew Paul? I saw flashes of Andrew Paul, that Andrew Paul was going to be one of the guys, that he was going to be that dude this year for us. So I don't know what it's a lot of players that just disappeared and coaches as well. Where the hell is Will Muschamp? Can somebody tell me? Can somebody in Dog Nature, where the hell is Will Muschamp? I haven't even seen him in the booth. I haven't seen him on the sideline. Where is he at? Because this Shermer dude, he ain't cutting it. He ain't getting the job done. This dude over there on the sideline looking like he lost because Lane Kiffin was kicking his ass all day long. Hell, Florida's offensive coordinator was kicking his ass. Mississippi State offensive coordinator in the second half was kicking his ass. Sarkisian was starting to figure his ass out in that second half of that Texas game. Schumer is not a good defensive coordinator. So Kirby needs to either A, take over the play calling on defense for one game and one game only. Take over the play calling like Clark Lee did up there at Vanderbilt, or he needs to let Will Muschamp take over. Because one thing that we can all agree on, now Will Muschamp, head coaching did not really work out for him. But when it came to him drawing up defenses and designing schemes and running the defense, this man is proven. Remember, that is the same guy that figured out that unstoppable Trojan offense in 2005 in the Rose Bowl. Remember, he was Mac Brown's defensive coordinator. No one else, no other defensive coordinator in the nation could figure out that Trojan offense, could figure out how to stop Matt Leinart, Steve Smith, Dwayne Jarrett, Lindale White, and Reggie Bush. No one could figure that out. But Will Muschamp did. And that's how Texas and Vince Young them walked away with a national title. So Kirby, it's time to look. You need to have your best players and your best men on the sideline making the best decisions, because this is it. This is do or die. This is the biggest game, the biggest regular season game in Kirby Smart's coaching career. This is it. This is a playoff play-in game at home in between the hedges Saturday night in Athens, Georgia versus Tennessee. Ladies and gentlemen, it don't get any better than this. Southeastern Conference football is on a whole nother level in 2024. And I am here for it. I am here for it. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank all of you for coming out and joining me here this evening. Love you all. Peace and blessings. There it is right there. That's my top five right there. At number 5, Bama. At number 4, Ole Miss. At number 3, Texas A&M. At number 2, Texas. And at number 1, Tennessee. And I know you Bama fans are, well, how are you going to put Ole Miss in front of us? I put Ole Miss in front of you because unlike Bama, Ole Miss actually beat Georgia. It wasn't no luck. It wasn't no, when they got a lead on Georgia, they didn't look back. They didn't blow no lead on Georgia. They actually beat us. And there's no excuse. No excuse. I'd say I take that. We took an ass whipping from Ole Miss. But when it came to that, but on the 28th, I still say this, and I'll take this to my grave. That win that Bama had over my Georgia Bulldogs was a damn fluke. Y'all had no business winning that damn game because we were the better team that night. And you know it. Y'all got lucky as hell. You got lucky as hell. You got lucky. And that wasn't the only game you got lucky in. You got lucky against South Carolina. You should have lost to South Carolina also. Should have lost to South Carolina. Like I said, Bama, you actually should have 4 losses right now. 4. So you're lucky to be in that number 5 spot right there. You're lucky. But Ole Miss, this team right here, I would put this team up against any of the other 4 participants up here on this board. And my money would be on Ole Miss because they are lethal on both sides of the ball. They are damn good in the trenches. That O-line is damn good, and that D-line is number 1 in the nation. They have the number 1 pass rush in the nation. They have the number 1 defensive line in the nation. Watch how many guys on Ole Miss's D line go in the draft. I guarantee you at least 4 of them go in the first round because they did something to my Georgia Bulldogs that I have not seen done in years. In years. All right, on that note, thank you all for coming out. Y'all hit that like button on your way out. Leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know, how do you feel? What do you think? What do you think? How do you feel about these rankings that I just unveiled here this evening? All right. And make sure you hit that like button, share this video, and hit that subscribe button. If you ain't subscribed already to the channel, shame on you. Shame on you for all this good content that we bring here every week, 2 to 3, maybe sometimes even four times a week. We bring you great content on this channel. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. And listen, we're not just going to do college football. We're going to do March Madness this year. We're going to do a little bit of the NFL playoffs as well. We're going to do a lot of things. This is strictly sports over here. Great sports content over here on the big channel, the Armondo Black TV channel. Everyone, peace and blessings. Love you all. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening. Enjoy the college football ranking unveiling. I'm curious to see how do they have their teams placed this week. I'm curious to see that. Pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. Pay attention to where they put Miami at. Pay attention to where they put Georgia at. And also pay attention to where they put Penn State and Indiana at, because that is going to play a huge part. These next couple of weeks is going to be some chaos. I just feel it. These next couple of weeks, I feel some chaos. I feel some chaos coming. The way some of you think things are going to go a certain way, they're going to shift and go a totally different opposite direction. So get ready. Enjoy the ride, everyone. Peace and blessings. Love you all. I'm Armondo Black. This has been the Dog Call. And like I always say, take care of yourselves and each other. And one last thing: win, lose, draw, from the cradle to the grave, for life. Go Dogs! Sick 'em. Woo, 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 woo. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.